Welcome back. My name is Erin.
I'm Elena. It's very cool of you to be here.
Today we are going to do a little mid-year book tag.
Yes, a little reflection and wrap up.
We've pulled some questions from a book tag video that we will link down below. And we've also adapted it to add in a few other questions just to round it out because I felt like the tags that I was watching were super positive, which is great. But I also want to reflect on a few of the disappointments so far this year.
Yes.
So we've added a couple questions of that nature in here as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been a perfect reading year.
Just to note, we are going to mention these books, but we won't be going into depth about them.
Yeah.
Probably most of these have been discussed in all of our other videos. We're just going to kind of do a little quick fire
question and answer.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, yeah. So the first question is your best book of 2024.
Do you want to start?
Yes, I will start because I could not pick one best book.
I couldn't either. That's okay.
Okay, great. Yeah. I ended up with 4. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson.
You did love that.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Skyward by Brandon Sanderson.
I almost feel like we should have done this in a game and had the other one guess
Yeah, for real.
what the answers would be. Continue.
Funny Story by Emily Henry. And Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor.
All right. That is a very you list.
I know. I feel like it really sums up all of my favorite genres are represented. And I had more 5-star reads than this, but these were like the best of the best that stick out to me when I look back on them.
Yeah, makes sense.
What are yours?
I put down 3. The first is also Funny Story by Emily Henry.
Nice.
Loved it. The second is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross.
I want to read that.
I absolutely adored this book. It was so good. And the third has got to be Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenya. This was so intense, but so phenomenal.
That one does stand out as one we've talked about so much.
Yeah. One of the first reads of the year too, so it was a great way to start.
Okay, and then the next question is same but different. What is the best sequel that we've read in 2024?
By far the best sequel. I would have put this in best books, but I knew that this category was here, so I saved it. It's got to be A Promise in Peridot by Kate Golden. I absolutely loved this sequel. It was so good, better than the first. Cannot wait for the third.
Wow, better than Dawn of Onyx.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. I feel like that's so rare to have in a sequel. My best sequel was Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I am so relieved that this sequel was just as good as the first Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I had high expectations going into it, and Heather Fawcett did not let me down.
The next question is, what has been the biggest disappointment read of the year so far?
Okay, I think my biggest disappointment was Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I thought it was going to be like a fun, epic fantasy, classic, high fantasy moment.
Yeah.
But it was just like a boy on a boat for most of it.
You thought that was going to be like the next fantasy series for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have this whole new huge classic fantasy to go through. And now I'm like, wow, actually could not care less what Ged or Jed or whatever his name is does next.
Fair enough. Okay, I had 2 that were huge disappointments for me. The first is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I thought for sure this would be a 5-star read. It's got everything I would have wanted in a book, fantasy, history, etc., etc. Huge disappointment. I really didn't like this one. The other one that was a huge disappointment was Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I thought for sure, again, that this would be an author that would perfectly sum me up as a person, honestly. And I did love her writing. This book really felt flat.
So then what was your most disappointing sequel?
Sadly, I'm really sad about this. It was The Ever Queen by L.J. Andrews.
Oh.
I loved The Ever King, and this was just a very disappointing follow-up, and I think the Goodreads reviews will back me up on that. I also had another sequel that really didn't work for me. It was Penn Cole's Heat of the Everflame. This is technically the 3rd in the series, but that's a sequel, right?
Yeah.
I hated this book. It may turn me off from this series. The series was kind of lackluster from the beginning, but by this 3rd book, I was just so disappointed where she took this. What about you?
I feel like disappointing sequels are even more disappointing because usually it means you loved the first one and then
you know where it could go, and then it's like ruined and it messes up your love for the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. By far my most disappointing sequel is Children of Fallen Gods by Carissa Broadbent.
I forgot.
The rage that comes over me when I even think about this book is wild. I love the Crowns of Nyaxia duology. I absolutely loved the first book in this series, Daughter of No Worlds. Loved it, 5 stars. Immediately picked up the second one. What was that? I hated it.
That was so disappointing.
Yeah.
We've heard great things
disappointing
about that series.
Isn't even really the word. Like, you know.
Devastated.
Yeah. And I will say I was also disappointed by Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross because I loved Divine Rivals so much, and I was really excited to read Ruthless Vows. So much so that I was like trying to convince myself, you know,
that you liked it.
Yeah, you know, when you're trying to like trick yourself halfway through and you're like, no, it's good though, it's good. Okay, but what was your actual biggest surprise? Like good surprise or bad? Which book surprised you the most in 2024 so far?
I went with like a good surprise on this because I was trying to be positive, and I have 2. The first was Carly Fortune's This Summer Will Be Different. I had never read anything by her. I didn't have like super high hopes for this book, but I really enjoyed it. Like, I was super surprised by how much I liked this book.
Aww.
It put me in a really good mood. So descriptive, really loved it. And the second is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This was such a surprise because I didn't love Divine Rivals, not like Elena did. I thought it was okay, but I certainly didn't think it was worth all the hype that it received. This series of hers though, oh my gosh, I absolutely loved this book. It was so beautiful, and I really see now why everybody says she's such a beautiful writer. This series is way better than Divine Rivals to me.
Oh dang, okay.
It was a great surprise.
Okay, my first surprise was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I really did not have high hopes going into it. I just had finished Funny Story by Emily Henry, which I absolutely loved. So I was thinking that's going to be an impossible act to follow. But it turns out Just for the Summer is genuinely good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And it didn't matter that it was following up probably my favorite contemporary romance of all time.
It's impressive.
It was still just, it stood on its own. It was my first Abby Jimenez, and I will definitely be reading a bunch more from her. And then this truly was a surprise. The Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver.
Yeehaw!
I didn't know you had that on here.
I mean, I was reading them thinking, I'm going to read this for a YouTube video. Lo and behold, cowboys are hot. I was into it, especially the second book.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was into the single dad thing. I mean, I discovered so many new things about myself from reading that series. So absolutely the biggest surprise.
For sure. Okay, next question is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet, but that you plan to?
Okay, I pulled 3.
Okay.
Children of Anguish and Anarchy, which is the 3rd Legends of Orisha book by Tommy Ademi. This actually hasn't come out yet, but it comes out this week. So, The Husbands by Holly Gramazio.
Yeah, I just saw that you put this on your Goodreads and our other sister's reading it.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I saw a couple other booktubers review it,
Okay.
and it seems interesting.
It seems not cool to me.
It seems
like, it sounds
weird.
dumb. It sounds very Midnight Library to me, and I think that's why I'm like, nah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I could see that.
But you read it.
Let's find out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I also am interested in A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen.
That's on my list too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody loves it. It looks really good.
The cover.
I know. Okay, we'll both have to read that. Okay, so I first have Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. This was on a New York Times bestseller so far of the year list, or best read so far. It's like a sci-fi-y, but it's just looked really interesting, and I've heard it's incredible. So I kind of just want to check it out.
Yeah.
And I also obviously have the Danielle Jensen book that you mentioned, but I also have The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. I've read some of her Bear and the Nightingale series, and I did really like it, and I've heard this one's really cool. So I want to pick it up for sure. It's going to be like an October read, I can tell.
Ooh.
Ghosts.
Oh, yeah, that seems perfect.
Okay, now, what is your most anticipated new release in the second half of this year? What's coming out that you want to read?
Wind and Truth, the last Stormlight Archives book.
Is that coming out this year?
I wrote it on there with 1,000 exclamation points. It's coming out in December.
Nothing else matters. Oh.
Yeah,
it's the last?
It's the final Stormlight Archives book for Era 1.
Oh my gosh, this man.
I mean, my anticipation for this book is words cannot describe.
Yeah.
This will be a drop everything and read release.
5-day vlog. Okay, I have a couple. First has got to be A Reign of Rose, which will be Kate Golden's third in the Dawn of Onyx series. I loved Promise of Peridot. So yes, I'm super excited for that. It comes out in October. I also have on here Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I really liked Powerless. I know that it's sort of hit and miss with people, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. I think that comes out in July. And the third one that I was just reminded of recently, and I don't know the publishing date, but we'll put it on the screen here, is got to be Intermezzo by Sally Rooney.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know there was a new Sally Rooney coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm so excited. Yes. Okay. Okay. And what is a series you have already finished this year?
I found this question depressing, even though I added it in, because not really any. What I did finish was Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I read the first two in like the duology. There is a third related book in the series. I have not read that yet. I do actually have it though, but I did complete the series and thought it was good.
Yeah, we'll count that for sure.
Yeah, but otherwise, I've got some work to do finishing up some series.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel the pressure. The series that I have finished this year, first, I did finish Chestnut Springs. I read all 5 Chestnut Springs books. So
very quickly.
I mean, yeah. Technically, I finished Letters of Enchantment.
Yes, you did.
It's a duology, and I read them both.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good.
And I did also completely read and finish The Lachlan Feuds by Robin D. Mall and L.
Madison.
My brain was like L. Woods. Books 2 through 4. I just absolutely ripped through them. So good. Thank you for that, Rec.
You're welcome. You absolutely ripped through them. I think that's funny. Yeah. Well done.
You know what I'm saying.
That's just funny. Okay, and what's your favorite new author from this year so far?
Stephanie Garber.
I'm shocked by this a little bit.
Once Upon a Broken Heart really captured my attention. I desperately need to read the rest of that series. Her writing style, I think, is very unique and something that especially appeals to me.
Yeah, that one sounds good. I know we want to read Caraval too, her other series. My favorite new author has got to be Kate Golden. Honestly, this has been like the year of A Dawn of Onyx for me. I'm obsessed. I follow Kate on Instagram as well. She's also in the middle of writing a Hozier romance.
Like a
I hate saying his name. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Hozier.
But is it like a fan fiction type thing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I know, it's so funny.
Oh, I bet people will love that.
They already do.
Speaking of crushes, who's your new fictional crush?
I feel like we shouldn't have put all these questions together because I sound like a broken record. But my new crush of this year has got to be Kane, the love interest in A Dawn of Onyx. He's sexy.
Yeah,
I like him.
Erin will not be surprised at all to hear that my new fictional crush is Miles from Funny Story. I think Erin saw me fall in love with him when we vlogged that.
Like, it's not even fictional for you anymore. No. It feels real.
It's real.
Who is like your newest favorite character that you've read so far?
Okay, so like crushes aside, favorite character. First place has to go to Rowan from the Lachlan Feuds.
Oh, for sure.
She's amazing.
She's the best.
So funny and cool. And then I also put Spensa from Skyward.
Really?
She's so funny and weird and different.
I just can't get over that name, man.
Yeah, you get used to it.
I guess, because you do say it very confidently and without laughing. And I cannot figure that out, Spensa. It just sounds like a British person trying to say Spencer.
She goes by she has like a code name in the book too that she often goes by. So no.
Bummer. Since my new crush is Kane, one of my favorite characters is Miles from Funny Story. I thought he was such a well fleshed out character and I really enjoyed reading about him. And I also very recently finished The Frozen River by Ariel Lawson. I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry. And her main character, Martha Ballard, was phenomenal. This is a historical fiction book, and I saw someone on Goodreads compare Martha to Claire from Outlander, and the two are extremely similar, and there's no way you can't like Claire from Outlander. She's such a badass. Martha was very much the same. I absolutely loved her. She's like one of my new favorite characters.
That's so cool. That makes me interested.
She was a real person.
Oh, wow.
A very successful midwife. She never lost a mother and over 1,000
real?
births. Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
The book is based off her diaries. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
We don't read enough historical fiction around here, but
yeah, so true.
This one was good.
All right, on the flip side, who is your new least favorite character?
Every single character in When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I hated them all.
I put every single character in the Final Girl support group.
Yours feels like cathartic because I'm assuming at least some of them die.
Some of them do get killed. Can I say that?
I mean, doesn't it say on the back cover they start like picking them off?
Yep, they don't all make it.
That's fine there.
Kind of wish none of them had made it.
Okay, and what is a book you've read so far this year that made you cry?
Okay, I listed all of the ones that made me cry just off the top of my head. I'm an easy crier, so there are probably more, but these are some books that made me cry this year.
Okay.
Including but not limited to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Okay.
Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez.
Yeah, that sounds so sad.
The Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor.
Okay.
Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. Divine Rivals.
That made you cry? Oh my God. I rolled.
Heartless. And Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston.
I can't believe that was this year too. Okay.
Yeah, that was early in the year.
I had to really think about books that I cried in. Okay. I only have Beartown by Frederick Bachman and The Frozen River.
Those are the only two books that made you cry this year?
Yes.
I guess I'm just emotional. So what are the books that made you happy this year?
Okay, I was trying to really think about this answer and think about like a happy where you're just feeling like joyful and content and you just like smile at the end of it. It's not super heart-wrenching. Yeah, it's a good time. What I have is one. I have more, I'm sure. Last Call at the Local by Sarah Grunder Ruiz. I absolutely loved this. It really made me smile.
Okay, I picked Funny Story by Emily Henry. Did not make me cry, just fun. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, once again, just fun. And Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett, a great time.
Really? Like Skyward just made you happy? Isn't it pretty intense?
No, I mean, the stakes are high, but the tone is light. There's a lot of comedic relief.
Okay.
It's fun, even in the action scenes.
Yeah. All right.
Really fun.
Which book thus far this year do you regret reading the most?
By far, by a landslide, Powerless by Elsie Silver. The third Chestnut Springs. I know I've said a couple times how much I loved Chestnut Springs, and I did, but not this one.
Mine, in case you haven't already guessed, was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I hated this book and I regret it. All 720 pages of it.
Okay, next is the most beautiful book that you've purchased or received this year. I was kind of torn. So one of them that I chose is the Oleander Sword, right? Mm-hmm. Oleander?
Uh-huh.
A viewer recently explained to me how to say that. This is a sequel. So, and the first book, the cover is nice, but something about this green and the look on her face.
For sure. That's beautiful.
I also chose Done and Dusted. I love this retro cover.
It's just cute, isn't it?
Yes.
I know.
And then finally, Love in Color by Bolu Babalola. I picked this up and surprise, it was a signed copy. So this is special to me and I do think it's beautiful.
Yeah, you love that book. Okay, I also picked up 3. Ironically, these were all in the same book haul from the beginning of the year.
Were they?
Yeah,
wow.
That's funny.
Good book haul.
The first is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. The inside cover is stunning.
Yes. We love when publishers do this.
Like, can you even? Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Also, something about her. I just think that this is so pretty. I'm a pink girl, and this is just such a cute cover.
Yes, this is beautiful.
It's like a little still life. And then third, for some reason, I'm really attached to this cover as well. This is next on my TBR, and I actually saw an alternative cover for this book and hated it. I don't know why you would ever change this. It's just so cute. I really like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
I've only read 1 out of these 3, but they are the prettiest.
Yeah, that's the question, so.
There we go. Last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of this year? Keep it to a short list.
Yeah, there's really a lot.
The highlights.
Okay, so one that I really, really want to read is Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White.
Never heard of this.
It's a trans author that writes queer horror fantasy.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to be amazing.
Okay.
I also need to finish Once Upon a Broken Heart.
Yes. Do you have the second book?
No, I need to pick it up soon, though.
Okay. Yeah.
And I do feel that I need to read An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir.
I know. I was just thinking about this the other day. I can't believe I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, we need to read that.
We have them.
I know.
I know. Okay. Those are good.
What are yours?
Okay, I have The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, the third in the Mistborn series.
You do need to read that.
Let the record show I am halfway through. Okay, so I will get there. But I need to put it on this list. I need to finish it. I need to be done with Era 1. Second, I have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I really want to read this. I keep pushing it farther on my TBR, but I think I really am going to enjoy it. I need to just read it.
I really think you're going to like it.
But next I have Our Wives Under the Sea from the book I just showed you. It's been sitting on my end table because I love it so much. I really want to read it.
Too beautiful not to read.
Yeah. And then lastly, it has to be mentioned that one of my reading goals for the year was to finish the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. And in doing so, I will have to complete the third book. Can't even remember the name of it. I will put it here.
I want to say Assassin's Quest. I also need to read that.
I said I would finish it
long ago.
Yeah.
We both said we would.
I've been about halfway through that one for several years now.
Gonna have to restart it, honestly. I am. I don't remember anything that's happening.
I don't know if this is going to happen, guys. Okay, we're going to keep it on the list, and then at the end of the year, you can shame me if I failed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, and then I just wanted to kind of wrap up by revisiting the reading goals that we talked about at the very beginning of the year. I wrote mine in my reading journal.
Okay.
I have not looked at this yet. So my first goal was to borrow physical books from the library. I have not done that. You do this.
I do this. I'll check that off for you. I've done that consistently this year. That's not a physical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I also put finish 4+ series. I've technically finished 3.
Wasn't it supposed to be series you've already started, or does it matter? Because you have not done that.
Okay, good point. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah.
I'll get there.
You're getting there.
I also wanted to read a book by a local author this year. I haven't even researched this. I haven't even considered this. I need to do this.
You know what? Sarah Grunder-Riez, the last call at the local, she lives in Raleigh.
Oh, interesting.
And I think you would like that one. It's really cute.
Yeah, maybe I can count that.
Mm-hmm. You got to read it.
I also wrote read more books from Kindle Unlimited, which I think I have been doing. Yeah. Reading on my Kindle is my preferred method. So yeah, I kill some Kindle Unlimited books. Mm-hmm. And then I put read 2 books over 1,000 pages. I don't think I've read anything over 1,000 pages yet. I've read some long books, but not that long.
You read Rhythm of War this year?
Nope, that was December of last year.
Dang.
But Wind and Truth will definitely count as one of these when I read it in December.
Risky to wait that long.
Yeah, I need to do another one. And it's always a goal of mine to read diverse stories from diverse authors and perspectives. I actually do track this on Storygraph using their custom tags function. And I have checked this recently and I'm at 39%. So 39% of the books that I've read this year are diverse stories. In past years, I've always averaged over 50%. So I would kind of like to bump up that number.
Yeah.
But it's not terrible.
That's pretty impressive.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Especially because the last goal was to read 50 books this year. Last year, I think I read 43 books. This year, I will have read 50 books by the end of this week.
Yeah, you're killing it.
I'm now bumping up that goal, and I'm officially saying,
don't.
Here to all of you.
What are you going to say?
100 books, baby. I mean, it seems like doable now.
We're going to really keep the momentum, man.
Yeah.
Okay. You're actually doing better than I thought. You're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
I don't fully remember mine, but when we were thinking about making this video, I did obviously look back at all the books that I have read so far this year. And like, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't super pleased with it as a cohesive list. I couldn't really tell you exactly what that means, but I know one of my goals was to read more nonfiction, more lit fic, and I don't feel like I've really lived up to that. I don't like the diversity in my books. I've only read one nonfiction and I hated it, The Wager. And I feel like almost because of the videos, the fun videos that we've been coming up with, I've leaned very heavily romantic-y, very heavily like romance and stuff. And I have really enjoyed that, but I tend to want to be more well-rounded in my reading. And I think for the second half of this year, I'm gonna have to figure out how to balance that out with what we're doing, because I do love talking about all these romantic-y books and comparing them and everything else that we're doing. But there's also a lot of books that I just want to read to feel like I'm growing and that I'm experiencing new things.
Yeah.
And I have a ton on my TBR. I'm just not prioritizing them. So I am going to try to do that more in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think that's good that we're taking this little mid-year reflection to look back and see like, okay, what do I maybe want to adjust going forward?
And I would have never done that. It was only literally looking back at the list. And the other thing is that I know this is particular, but do you ever scroll back on your Goodreads? And I just hate how all of them are series. And like, I want to read more standalone books. I'm tired of all these series.
We have to stop starting a million series.
I know. And I like to complete series even if I don't like them. And that just takes up time.
It does.
You know? I want to read more standalones, and that's actually a lot harder in fantasy than it should be. I'm really into duologies now too. Like the duologies that I've read I've actually really enjoyed, and that's way less of a commitment. But yeah, I would like to read some more standalone books, which probably means more lit fic and historical fiction and nonfiction. So
yeah. I remember one of your goals that I'm curious about. Did you stop reading after 11 p.m. or what was it, 10 p.m.? 11?
Yeah, I wasn't going to read past 11 p.m. ever. And I've actually stuck by that. I don't think once this year I've read past 11 at night.
That is impressive. I mean,
that is kind of impressive.
Yeah. I remember another one of yours. You also said you were going to reread.
I did. I said I wanted to reread some that I loved. And I did reread the Lachlan Feud series around the same time as Elena and absolutely loved it. I read it after I was really, really sick and I just needed a huge comfort read.
Yes.
And I do want to do that more often. It was so nice to just like fall back into these characters and like reaffirm, no, I actually do really love this book. This series really does stand up to everything else that I've read. It just like reaffirmed it and it felt really good. I need to do that again.
And I need to read it for the first time. So.
I'll read it with you. I do like reading it close together so we can talk about it.
Yeah, same. Okay, so that sums up our mid-year reading reflection. There's nothing else to really say because we've already... We've already stated our intentions for the rest of the year.
Let us know how your reading journey is going so far this year. Please feel free to answer the tag questions below. We love seeing your answers to these.
Like this video if you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel.
Please and thank you. And until our next video, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.